Howdy, y'all. Welcome to another episode of Card Blitz. I'm your host, Kelly Reed, joined by my good friends Royce and Aaron. We are here to talk about football cards. How you guys doing?
Doing great.
Great. Yeah.
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah.
Yep. It's always good to have you guys on, and we're going to talk about one of our favorite topics, which is football cards. And we're going to get into some QBs from that magical era of the 70s. And we're going to do like this reverse order of our favorites, going from number five to number one. And we'll choose like different positions, different decades as part of this ongoing series. And look forward to tonight and a great night, guys.
Awesome.
All right, so who's going first?
I'll go ahead
Oh,
and go
oh,
first. I just
go ahead.
unsleeved all my cards so they didn't glare, so hopefully it works. I had as number five Jim Hart from the Cardinals, and I chose him because he was a QB the whole decade, and I feel like he's a little underrated. He was Eric Coryell before Dan Fouts, and I think they called him the Cardiac Kids or something like that. The Cardinals with like Mel Gray and him and Terry Metcalf and stuff like that. So my number five is Jim Hart.
And I love that set, 1978 tops. That's like my favorite gateway card set of football, 78. Love it. Great choice, man. How about you, Royce? What do you have?
Well, I've got 75 tops, Ken Stabler, and this is one of our original cards. I don't know if you can tell how beat up it is, but this
The
is
folly
this is
of
one.
man part two, huh?
Yeah, we've really literally had it since 75, and we probably had it in the back pocket of our tough skins for a while, and just had plenty of games. We used to basically take cards and smash them together and pretend like we were playing football. So this has been through all that. Ken Stabler, I think, is I don't know if he's underrated because a lot of people like him, but he was called the Snake, and he was went to the Super Bowl in 75 or 76, I guess, against the Vikings and beat my Vikings. But great quarterback from the 70s.
I was gonna ask, have you ever read his autobiography, Snake?
Nope.
That's
I've
a
read
good
pieces
read.
of it.
Get into his
Yeah.
college days and Alabama, and then yeah, oh, the crazy days of being out there in Oakland. Definitely worth it, man. Good read. Definitely worth picking up at the like at the half price books or checking it out at the library.
Cool. I'll have to look for it. Thanks.
Yeah, well, my number five goes to 1979 set, one Doug
Oh,
Williams. And
nice.
you might be asking yourself, like, why and how? Well, as a kid, if it weren't the, Dallas Cowboys or the Oakland Raiders, it was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that I was rooting for as a kid. And then, later on, you learned historically his importance.
Oh yeah.
The first black quarterback taken in the first round, and then the 1978 draft, and then the success he had in the playoffs in '79. The Rams beat him that year, but I thought, he is he won the Super Bowl, got that MVP. He stands for a lot, but I would just remember having like a Tampa Bay Buccaneers pennant next to my bunk bed, and just yeah, the Bucks of the late '70s, they were horrible until they were in an NFC title game.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah. He was
But
definitely an honorable mention for me. And we both like him because he also played in the USFL, which we follow.
yep,
Uh, so he was definitely a trailblazer.
All
for
right.
sure. In fact, I considered him, but then I thought, boy, I think I'm going to save him for the 80s.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking QBs of the
Yeah.
'70s, and he was drafted in '78, played in '79, and like I said,
Yeah.
I wasn't a huge fan of the Rams, and so I was really wanting the Buccaneers to beat the Rams that year, and and then go and beat the Steelers in that Super Bowl. But no, the fates were not on my side. They lost, and Steelers won a fourth Super Bowl in bragging rights.
There you go.
Well,
Well, Royce, you wanna start us off with your number four pick?
Yeah, my number four pick is that 78 set too, and I've got Jim Zorn for the Seahawks. Let's see if there we go.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that's sweet.
dude, he was kind of our when we first moved to Portland in 77, all they put on in the Northwest during Sunday games, I mean every single Sunday, it was always the Seahawks on TV. So we got to watch a lot of Jim Zorn to Steve Largent, and it was a great connection. So he's been one of my favorites since I was in I guess first grade, second grade, kind of. So uh, he's my fourth number
Was he a
four guy.
southpaw? Was he a lefty? Or was he
It probably says on his card. No, it does not. Um,
there was left
it
and
does
right?
not say on his card, but that's a
That's a
good
good
question.
question.
I
I
should
think he
know that.
might have been.
I think so.
Yeah.
I want to say he was. I think I remember watching the Steve Largent 30 for 30, and I think Largent was making fun of Zorn for being a lefty.
We gotta watch that one night. The 30 for 30. I was gonna ask the Seahawks of the late 70s, being like the Buccaneers, an expansion team, were they just like horrible, miserable when bad when y'all were growing up watching them play, or were they did they have some playoff runs or some decent seasons?
Very
They
few. They got close a couple years. I'll have to look it up,
they
but
were pretty bad until Chuck Knox showed up
yeah,
in like 83.
yep,
Then 83, 84, they started doing good. They went to the FC Championship game against the Raiders in 84.
yeah. They didn't have much of a running game until Kurt Warner, not the quarterback Kurt Warner, but the other Kurt Warner came in. So Seahawks running back with a C. So yeah, I think that they needed that coaching change in '83.
I was gonna mention the what was it? I was going to mention real quick on the Seahawks. I heard like a trivia question that they're the only NFL team to play in both championships, like leading into the Super Bowl with the
Oh
AFC
yeah, because they
and the
were
NFC.
they were NFC, then they were AFC, then they were NFC again.
Yeah,
So they were
Yeah,
actually NFC in 76, and Tampa was AFC. And then they switched the next year. And
yeah,
then Seattle went back to NFC somewhere in the late 90s, I think, something like that.
yeah. Well, when we watched them, they had a big rivalry with the Raiders and the Broncos because they were in that same division. That.
AFC West back
Yep.
then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting. All right. My,
yeah.
my number four is this guy. I didn't see much of him growing up, but he did play in the 70s. One Joe Namath.
Yeah. Broadway Joe.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So
That's a cool card.
I remember the TV commercials more than his actual NFL games.
Yeah.
But I remember reading about him as a kid, and what a prolific passer he was, and his horrible knees, and the injuries, and and the Jets, and the guaranteed victory, and doing it against the Colts, and so Joe Willie here with his locks just flowing. I was just like, man, one, that's a cool card, but two,
Yeah.
the hairstyle, it just reminds me of the 70s so much.
Yeah.
Totally.
He was on a episode of the Brady Bunch, so you can't get much more 70s than that.
Yeah.
Well, that and I don't know if y'all, in y'all's own collections, if y'all have many 71 Topps football cards, but
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
those.
they're starting to kind of grow on me, and I was like, man,
Yeah.
that might be another set I need to put together.
I've
Yeah,
got a
it's
good
pretty cool
start
one.
on it because I really like that set a lot.
Do you
I
feel like
just,
these cards are like super condition sensitive since they're all like the solid border red and blue,
yeah,
Yeah.
right?
hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got a kind of beat up starter set, but I don't care about condition so much. So, but all of them were pretty rough looking
Yeah.
because of that. It's like the 85 tops where it's pure black.
Hmm.
So it's hard to keep those colors looking good.
Yeah.
So, but
On the border, on the edge, especially. Yeah.
yeah,
Shipping and corner wear, edge wear, it's prevalent. All right.
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
But my number four is Ken Anderson. So this is his 76 tops. This is also one of our original ones, as you can see by all the creases. Um, but that's an all pro. Like he kind of came on the scene quick. And he became an all pro, and then he lasted well into the 80s and was an all pro and MVP in the early 80s. So I think he also kind of gets a little, not enough credit for the quarterback he was. Some people are now pushing for him to be in Canton, but he's not yet. And I think he's one that's kind of deserving from what he did in the 70s and the 80s.
Does
Certainly
does the
underrated. Yeah.
does the NFL Hall of Fame have like a veterans committee like MLB baseball does, where it's maybe you didn't meet it within the first 5 years of
Yeah.
eligibility, but you can be elected in at a
Yeah, they have, I think, two seniors every year. Is that right, Royce?
I
I
believe
think
so.
two seniors every year. And it's after 25 years. You can't get elected until 5 years, and then after 25 years, you go into the seniors.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
Hey,
there,
before we
a time
go,
limit, like an expiration date? Like, hey, you aren't elected X amount of years, and therefore you're no longer eligible to be
I
elected.
don't I don't think they ever have a cutoff.
no.
All right.
I was going to ask Kelly to go back to Joe Namath for a minute and
Yeah.
look at the back of his card and see if it says birthplace. Can you?
Let's see. No, he's born in 1943, but his home was in New York when this one came out.
Okay. He
Not
was born in Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania, where my dad was born. So I just thought that was a curious tie-in that we have with Joe Namath is that our dad was born in the same hometown.
huh. Well, the humorous thing on the back, back in the 70s, they had like cartoons.
Uh-huh.
It shows here that Joe and Mickey are partners at an employment agency.
Oh,
Like
funny.
co-owners. I'm thinking that would have been an interesting sight in New York City to see Mickey Mantle and Joe Namath running around town. That would have been kind of
Wow.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Well, you want me to go with my number three?
Sure.
Sure.
All right, my number three is one that's probably going to hit home to both of y'all. And that's because it's from my 1978 set. It's none other than Fran the Man.
Nice.
Yes. Love it. That's awesome.
I mean, his on-field accomplishments, and when I think of Vikings quarterbacks, I think of him first.
Yeah.
And rightly so, deservedly so. Look, I mean, he's record holder. He's getting recognized for his on-field accomplishments. But as a kid, man, I remember like just when Tops had like these in-action shots.
Hmm.
Like those action shots, I was like, I thought they were the coolest things. Now, YouTube might have taken your action shot cards and had them actually combating on a gridiron, but for me, man, I remember that and just like reading the press clippings on the back over and over, and it was just part of my youth, man. But Frank Tarkenton being on TV as well. I mean, what else did you
Yep.
do in the 70s? We didn't have computers and internet, so it was listen to the radio, listen to albums or 8 tracks. Yeah, you're looking at your cards. You have the TV on in the background. So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, just many like rainy Saturday afternoons, just looking at my cards and reading them, and just daydreaming about these great players.
That's awesome.
Cool.
The cool thing about him, I follow him on you or Facebook, and he still has his own business. He still runs his own business. It's a marketing consulting company. And so he does little clips all the time. He's putting on there talking about business and how to push your business forward and stuff. So he's got to be around 90, I think, right? I don't know, up there ways, but
Oh yeah, definitely mid 80s at least.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
He's still going strong. It's pretty awesome.
do you remember the name of that TV show in the 80s that he was on?
Yeah, real
I
people.
Are
think,
there y'all?
what
Wasn't it
was it,
real
Royce?
people? Real people.
I don't think it was real people. I think it was like that. And I had Kathy Lee Crosby on it.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Was it like one of
Oh,
those kind of
shoot.
quiz shows, game show type things?
Yeah, and it had like human interest stories. That's amazing, or something like that. I don't know.
That's incredible.
Somebody watching this, leave it
That's
in the comments.
Yes,
incredible.
that's incredible.
When you
That's
That's
said
it.
that's
incredible.
amazing,
There
I'm
we
like,
go.
that's incredible, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Aaron,
You're right.
dude.
That's
Yeah, well,
amazing is like the Timu version, I guess.
Yeah,
yeah.
we got to get the YouTube version. Watch that's incredible, Fran Tarkenton, man, and
Yeah.
greatness, man. So, Royce,
Yeah.
do you want to move forward with the next one, or Aaron? Y'all,
I'll go next. I've got 77 Dan Fouts. I don't know if you can see that very well. Hopefully.
yeah,
There we go. Boy, it's kind of blurry, but Dan, this is a cool action shot. I actually was hoping to get the 75, but I don't have the 75. I need to get the 75 of Dan Fouts. But that's still, he's one of my favorite all-time players. For probably Aaron's got the same reasons, but he went to University of Oregon where we live, and Chargers just were so good in that age where he was throwing to Kellen Winslow and Charlie Joyner and Wes Chandler, all those guys. So,
I like the station wagon in the back. Can you show that again?
oh yeah,
That's a
yeah.
sweet,
We
sweet
had a
little
station
wood
wagon
paneled
almost
station wagon.
identical to this. Yeah, it's like a brown wood grain station wagon, panel station wagon in the back. And we
Talk
had
about
a 70,
70s.
72 Ford Torino station wagon almost just like that.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I love Dan Fouts. He's one of my favorites of all time, but I'm kind of saving him for the 80s.
Yeah.
Because he really, I mean, it was weird back then. Like you could get drafted and develop for a long time, and he wasn't their full-time starter till like 77, 78.
Yeah.
And then like that's 78, 79 is when he really started, throwing up the numbers and the yards with Air Coryell. But I didn't choose him just because for half the decade he was kind of in and out of the lineup. So even though he's one of my very favorites, I'm saving him for the 80s, I think.
Well,
Yeah.
I was Dan Fouts, if I remember correctly, wasn't he backing up or was he third string to like Johnny Unitas in 74? And then Unitas went down with an injury, some sort of shoulder thing, and that's when Dan Fouts got his opportunity.
Yeah, it's 73 or 74, one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
one of
it
those
looks
two.
weird on the cards to see Unitas in a Chargers uniform.
That 74 tops card of his,
Yeah,
that could be a show in itself of just oddball, interesting, like
yeah.
looking out of place cards. You're like, wait, what? This guy?
Right. Yeah.
But no, Dan Fouts, man. I mean, obviously, do the ABC, calling
Broadcast.
game
Yeah.
commentary, and I heard that he's still a pretty prolific, like through the mail signer too.
Oh, really?
Like
Oh,
he
cool.
has no problem like signing his autograph on, especially on the older 70 cards. So I was thinking about getting that an address and getting him to sign one of my cards.
That'd
Yeah.
be
Does
neat.
he live
Yeah.
in Bend, Oregon? I think. I'm not sure.
I
I
know
think he
he
might
lives
live
up in
here in
Oregon.
Oregon.
I just don't know the
Yeah.
exact city or town.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm
Well, my
not
number
sure.
three is James Harris, nicknamed Shaq. And he was on the Bills and the Rams and the Chargers. So he was one of those guys that took some playing time from Fouts in 77 and 78. But I chose Harris because some of that trailblazing, like you were talking about with Doug Williams, he did some of that earlier in the decade. He was on the Bills in 70, 71. And then for the Rams, he actually made a Pro Bowl and he led the league in some passing statistics in the early to mid 70s. But I feel like they should have given him the starting role and kept it with him. And I think he would have, led the Rams maybe to a Super Bowl or two because they were always right there in the playoffs. They were, battling the Vikings. They were a pretty good team there, and I just think if they would have settled on one QB because they were kind of going back and forth between like him and Pat Hayden and whoever, Ron Jaworski was in the mix, all these guys, but I think if they would have stuck with him and trusted him, um, I think he would have gotten them
So
there. I
was he
think.
drafted by the Rams initially?
No, he was drafted by the Bills. So
Okay.
he played for the Bills from I think 68 to 71, something like
Hmm.
that. And then went to the Rams, and that's where Chuck Knox. I read Chuck Knox's autobiography, and he was saying he didn't care about color. He just wanted the best guy to play.
Hmm.
But he was getting pushback from like the management and stuff. But he was like fighting for it. He was like, "No, this is the best guy," and he didn't care. He just wanted to win.
Yeah.
So Chuck Knox was pretty cool for the 70s of advocating for him.
Yeah, and being
Awesome.
progressive and letting the best
Yeah.
man or best player take that spot.
Right. Yeah.
That's
Interesting.
awesome.
Well, hey, I was gonna ask, y'all went to a card show recently. While we're talking 70s, what was y'all's experience with like finding 70s cards for, either a PC or collection or just of interest? Whether, up there in the Northwest, do y'all have are they like in abundance or are they hard to find? Are the prices like pretty high or what y'all's take?
It was so Pokemon heavy. There were about out of the probably 200 different tables, there were about 10 sports related tables. So
Yeah.
very few. And then some of those, I would say at least four of them didn't have anything like past 90 or before 90.
390.
So not a ton. There were some, I mean, there were a few different tables that had some older stuff that we could look through. But not, I would not say a lot. No, not
Yeah,
very
there were
good if
like
you're
two
trying
or
to
three
collect
main
ones.
ones that we got some out of. But
Yeah.
one of the guys I had seen at a previous card show, and I said, "Hey, can you bring more of your vintage stuff?" So he brought more
Yeah.
from that request. But yeah, it is hard to find. And card shops, it's hard to find. I found some at a local card shop yesterday, and
Yeah.
I was like, Royce, you got to come down into this
I
shop
know.
sometime, because it is hard to find. And card shops, a lot of them are going to just like the newer really expensive stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're finite amount of space, and they're like,
Yeah.
the days of like the even through like I guess the 90s or early aughts of card shop having just tons of old inventory. Those days are gone. I guess, like y'all said, they're smaller, and then they're trying to push the high dollar cards or the current cards that'll bring in that money for them.
Yeah. And I get it business wise, but as a collector, it's kind of like, oh, geez, I want some old stuff.
So obviously y'all do some card shows. Do y'all find I guess like Facebook groups good for trying to acquire your 70s cards, or do y'all find yourselves going elsewhere like online?
I made a trade last week on a Facebook group. I got a 75 Roger Starbuck I didn't have before. So that's, I guess, where I've been finding them when I don't see them at card shows or at the card shop. That's my alternate. Um, and Aaron kind of turned me on to those Facebook groups.
Yeah, that's my favorite way to do it is trade because then you're just the postage and you can figure out what kind of postage you want. There is another one where it's buying, but that can get really expensive really fast.
Yeah, I had to stop on that one because it was
So
taking
yeah,
the
yeah, you can
auction
get
one.
like, oh,
Yeah.
that's a cool card, and then like add up, add up, add up, and then the postage and everything.
You're
So
hitting like triple digits, and you're like,
yeah, yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
uh-oh, I better watch it.
Yeah.
So that one's called vintage cards or vintage football cards, and the one we're on is my old football cards.
mhm.
Um, and then I do once in a while do some eBay for like a really hard to find card or card I just like nobody's got this, I'll give up. Um, and then I'm going down to California soon, so I'm gonna do an order from Burbank Sports Cards. They're one of the bigger sports card shops, and you can do pickup. So then I'll save all that shipping.
That's cool.
Um, and then there's COMC. I don't know if have you ever ordered cards from them?
I've never ordered from them. I've looked
Okay.
online, and yeah, I mean they have pretty much anything and everything under
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
sun.
that's a
There, it's
good
like, oh my
source for
gosh.
the weirder stuff or the harder to get stuff. But sometimes if you order enough, they'll back up on the shipping a little bit.
Have y'all tried Sport Lots?
Uh-uh.
Mm.
Yeah, y'all should check out sportlots.com.
Okay.
I've ordered from them just once so far, but they were the thing I like about them is that like their 80s and 90s cards are very affordable. The issue that you might have those there aren't images most of the time.
Oh,
So you're
huh.
trusting when they say it's excellent condition or very good or near mint to actually be that condition. That's
Okay.
that's the one negative, but they'll if you do the I think it's like bulk shipping, they'll send it to their own headquarters. These people that have the cards, and then they send you one box, one package with all the little envelopes stuffed in there. And I mean, I felt like you saved a few bucks, but it wasn't like something tremendous to write home about and go, man,
Yeah.
it was cool to get all the cards, but I found it to be a little bit more affordable than eBay, but not a lot.
Okay. I'll
And
check it
again,
out.
eBay, you have images. Here, no images. So that's been my experience.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I was gonna mention the my old football cards that Facebook page that is a very cool page. They got a lot of cool guys
Yes.
on there, girls,
I
and
love that
they
one.
do guys and girls trading cards a lot, and I like that about that page.
Yep.
Yeah. Everybody seems pretty fair and pretty like reasonable. And people will admit like, okay, this has soft corners or like, they're not trying to get over on you. I've never had a bad trade.
Well, that's good news. That's definitely good to hear. Y'all want to move on to our number twos?
Sure.
Are we? Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we're on our number twos now.
Go
All
for it,
right.
Kelly.
Oh, okay. Well, y'all mentioned him earlier, and I talked about his book. But
Oh
for
yeah.
number two is going to be the Snake here, Ken Stabler, and I
Uh,
just, I thought,
cool.
he is, just like Joe Namath with the long hair back in the day, but he had the full beard, and he was a lefty, and I mean, he and the Raiders, they're just like synonymous from that era, and rightly so. I mean, he got a Super Bowl title, but the battles that they had in all those AFC title games, just memorable games, and you know, it's interesting when you mentioned the thing about, players in different uniforms. I think about him in the 80s going to the Saints, but prior to that, and even the Oilers. So,
Yeah.
but for me, like I said, Snake, and he was I remember reading about him too a lot as a kid and watching a lot of his games in the mid 70s when I was like 6, 7, 8 years old and just
Yeah,
really enjoying watching Kid Stabler play.
Cool.
totally. He's
Nice
great.
choice.
And
My number two is a Buffalo
that,
Bill.
like,
Oh, go
like
ahead.
his design,
Yeah.
the field goal post, or is
Yeah, I
this
love that.
it's kind of boring to y'all?
No, I
It's
like
not
it.
my
I like
favorite,
when
but
they put
it
something
depends.
football related in their design.
I like it when they're action shots, but a lot of that year they're not action shots. But I do like it when they do action shots within the goalposts. It's kind of cool.
Right. Okay. Who's next?
Okay, I was going there with Joe Ferguson. I picked him because he's a Buffalo Bill, and I can't not pick him. Um, but interesting, he was the QB during the OJ era, and so he didn't throw a lot at first. Then when they traded OJ, he became more of a focal point of the offense, and he started getting 2,800 yards, stuff like that. In 1979, he got like 3,500 yards. So he could do it. He had that ability the whole time. He was just playing second fiddle to OJ, and he was the starting quarterback the year OJ got the 2,003 yards. Passing, he got like I think it was 980 something yards
Wow.
and four touchdowns. So he passed for less yards than OJ ran for, and passed for less touchdowns than OJ ran for.
That's
Um,
crazy.
so that was just the offense was like give it to OJ.
Can you imagine
So
a starting quarterback in this era getting less than 1,000?
yeah, I know, isn't
Or
that
only four
crazy?
touchdowns that season? Like,
Yeah, I know in that season. Um, but yeah, I really like Joe Ferguson. He was the QB when I first started liking the Bills. So kind of my intro to the Bills and had his poster on my wall and stuff like that. So he's not one you really think about when you think of the stars, but he was a very good QB. And the 1981 Topps box had him on the front. So I always
Hmm.
kind of was like, hey, cool. One of my guys is on the front of the card box, of the wax back box.
yeah, you need
Had
to get
him.
one of those boxes one of these days.
Yeah,
'Cause
that
the
would be
memorabilia
cool.
piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, my number two is Steve Bartkowski for the Falcons.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
Bartkowski was great, underrated for sure. He had a lot of good years throwing it to like Billy White Shoes Johnson, Alfred Jenkins. Those were great connections. Sadly, the team overall wasn't that good. They had a great defense in the mid 70s. Actually, one of the best defenses ever to play the game was, I think, the 76 Falcons. But um, yeah, they just fell short. But they were my second favorite team growing up before we moved to the Portland area and we got the Seahawks. So Vikings are my first, but I loved watching Bartkowski when we could. I
Was
mean, we
Bartkowski
actually rarely got to see him.
was he a
Go ahead.
one game QB his career, or did he play for the other
I think
teams at all?
so.
No, at the very end, who did he go to? I think it was the Rams.
Hmm.
But just for one season, and he didn't start. But overall, yeah, I mean, the majority of his career, I'll have to look it up, and maybe while somebody else is going, I'll take a peek. But I th I want to say it was the Rams. I'll check it out.
Hmm. Yeah, I was, just reading an article about him about like what an arm he had and
Yeah,
the golden hair and apparently yeah he could just chuck it from anywhere on the field.
yeah, he was a California guy. Went to California, I believe. Yeah, so he's definitely good. Let me see if I can find his Wikipedia page real quick and tell you. Yeah,
Uh,
the very last year, 86, he played for the Rams. All the other years between 75 and 85, he was a Falcon.
okay.
Yep.
Well then let's see are we on to the final round or Aaron do
Did
you
you do your number two, Kelly?
Yes, I went with Kenny Stabler in the
Kenny Stabler was your
1964
two?
Topps
Okay.
car. Yes, sir.
I want to go last because I got my whole run of my last guy, so I'm going to be a little long-winded on my number one. I got every
Oh,
card of him from the decade.
Royce, you want to go next, man?
Yeah, I'll go next, and I won't be quite that long, but I will go with Fran Tarkenton, 75 tops. Let's see if I can get a better zoom. Boy, it just doesn't really. Oh, there we I had it for a second. Anyway, it's a great action shot, and to me, he's the best quarterback of the 70s. When he retired, he had six different NFL records: most passing attempts, most passing completions, most passing yards, most passing touchdowns, most rushing touchdowns by a quarterback, and most seasons with a rushing touchdown. So he was the best of his time, period. I mean, there's
He was
really
a
nobody else
scrambler
that
for
can.
sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. So Andy played for my Vikings, so I love him, and between him and Alan Page, they're my top two players of all time. So yeah, I had to put him at number one.
Well, we're kind of opposed, thinking of Vikings, and I'm going to go with Cowboys, obviously. And I'm going with this Roger Staubach
Oh,
card. When I met him, I got his autograph, and then I
cool.
took it to Beckett and got it certified and authenticated.
That's
But
pretty cool.
this is from the 1971 season. The card's 1972 tops, but yeah, getting that first Super Bowl victory over the Dolphins that year. And so yeah, Roger the Dodger, Captain America, to me, you know, he had a great run through the 70s, and after that 79 season, he hung it up. But he went out on, his best statistical season that year. And so for me, like I said, childhood idol, but my favorite QB of the 70s.
Cool.
Cool.
Yeah, it's hard to argue. You know,
Yeah, they're just favorites, right?
yeah,
So
Yeah.
as far as like how good a player was or their accomplishments, I felt kind of bad leaving Staubach off, leaving Terry
Yeah.
Bradshaw off. They're just not my personal favorites, but
Yeah.
like
exactly.
you can't argue that like they did amazing things during the decade.
You
And
could have thrown Lynn Dawson in there or like
yeah,
Jaworski,
yeah,
Plunkett. There were several,
yeah. Bradshaw
Ferragamo.
won 4 Super
Yeah.
Bowls during the decade. None of us picked him.
Yeah. None of us are Steelers fans. I wonder. So
Yeah,
yeah, no, his on-field accomplishments are definitely should be recognized,
yeah.
and
So
and the
no
Oscar
offense,
reflects
Steelers
that.
fans, just personal
Yeah.
choice.
Do you think Staubach
Yeah.
would have been as
Um,
good if he didn't have Landry as a coach?
Do I think he would have been as good? I think it was just the right situation for him, with his military service, coming in a little bit older, but also willing to be, innovative with Landry in the shotgun formation.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
so in many ways, it was a nice marriage, Staubach and Landry. And when he got to go to, four Super Bowls and participate in four of them, same as Terry Bradshaw and those Steelers Cowboys Super Bowls were close. That was a coin flip, and so Terry got and the Steelers got the better end of that coin flip.
Yeah.
cool. All right, so my number one is also Fran Tarkenton.
All
But
right.
I'm going to show you every one of his cards, and a lot of people forget he was on the Giants. You don't say like Fran Tarkenton of the New York Giants. It just seems weird, but he was for 5 years
Yeah.
on the Giants. So he started with the Vikings, went to the Giants, went back to the Vikings. So this is his 1970 tops on the Giants, and then here's his 1971 which we've been talking about with those colors and the little guy over there. So it's such a cool card.
Mhm.
And then 72, he had played on the Vikings in 71, but the 72 card shows him for the Vikings. I
Cool.
think that might still be his Giants uniform, but so
Yeah.
he's on the Vikings there. Um, and then here's his 73 card. So that's a cool card because it's
That is
showing
cool.
an action shot. It's got the Vikings symbol airbrushed out, and everybody's got the little the
Right.
little
Stripes.
light on their helmets. Um, but that's a very cool card. And then this is the 74.
I
So
love that
because he
one.
was all pro, it looks way different than that one you had of Stabler with the
Hmm.
goalposts.
Yeah.
So this is the all pro with the black. So I really like these cards. I really like that they did something totally different for their all pros than their regular
Yeah.
cards.
I agree.
Um, and he wasn't a huge guy either. Look how like he's just a normal guy. I think he's like 6 feet tall, 180, just a
Hmm.
normal sized guy, but he was really amazing. He just looked like your, next door neighbor, but athletically he was just great. Um, then we got the 75 tops. This is the one Royce was trying to show. I think
Yeah.
Royce, the sleeves make it
I
blurry
don't
or
have them in
something.
sleeves though, so I'm not
Oh,
sure. I
really? Oh,
think it's
weird.
just I've got
Yeah.
bright
But
lights above me, so maybe it's just the
But there
glare.
he is in action again, taking a snap from Mick Tingelhoff, another
Awesome.
undersized guy. He weighed like
Yeah.
225 or something for a center. Um, and then here's my 76 Fran. This is another one that we beat up quite badly. The
Well
more
loved.
popular player, the more beat up he is. So
Yeah.
this is original. This has been in our family since that time. And he's got the flowing locks there and the celebrity looks.
That card
And
has some
then,
mileage on it.
For
yeah,
sure.
for sure. And then there's his 77. That's an all-pro action shot. I really like that card too.
Hmm.
And I really love the style of this. And then the purple even goes kind of with the purple of his uniform.
Yeah.
And then here's his 78 tops. I think you showed the more record holder one or
Yes.
whatever. So that's his 78 base card. And they've all got the cool little cartoons. And he
Hmm.
was into a lot of stuff. Like this one's talking about him being a sports commentator. So not only was he on That's Incredible, he did the sports commentating as well. And
Yeah.
then here's his final base card with a towel over his head. But it's really funny. He set all these records, like Royce was saying, most passing yards, all this stuff, huge career. You can see all the stats on the back of this card. So that's one reason I love this card because the stats are really clear.
Yeah.
Um, but the cartoon they put on there, not anything about his accomplishments. It says, Fran is affiliated with a shampoo company.
That's right.
Like the best QB ever, with stats, and they're talking about shampoo.
That's
So I
awesome.
just find that very funny and kitschy. Um, that they did that. And then not only did I do all his base cards, I got some extra cards of his. This was the passing leaders from 76. That's that same picture in a 76 base card, but looking better uh condition wise. And then this is a um TD
Record hold.
record. He broke Unitas's record of TDs here in this card. And like you were
76.
saying, it's got the like extra, extra, read all about it on the
Yeah.
back.
Right.
And then this one here, I just picked, it's a Vikings checklist, but it shows all the team leaders. And he was the passing leader ever since he got back to the Vikings. The guy before him, Gary Cuozzo, passed
Hmm.
for under 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
So Fran got there, he passed for like 2,800 yards. So Fran
Hey,
definitely took kind of the same team and did a lot more with it than Gary Cuozzo did.
while we're on the
Um,
topic of Fran, can I show? I'm going to try to share my screen real quick and see if you guys can
yeah.
see that Fran that I'm working on, making my own set of
Oh,
Vikings
cool.
cards. So, uh, on the topic of Fran, this is the Fran I'm in the middle of.
Nice.
I've got several guys I'm working on, but Fran was my first one, and then I've got like Alan Page and other Anthony Carter, Herschel Walker. So I'm just doing a throwback series of cards that I'm making, but I thought I'd share
Nice.
the Fran since we're on there, so I'll stop
Are you going to
sharing.
mention shampoo on the back?
Yeah, I'll put what was it,
I mean,
Pert
that's important.
or Suave, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll see if I can stop sharing here.
Aaron, you were talking about Frank Tarkenton, right? And
Yeah,
future
so I was
card.
talking about his last year, that 78 year. He actually set his personal record for yards that year. So he wasn't going out like, some of these QBs are hanging on and they're no good anymore and their arm's dead. And, he was doing great. And he had quite a cast around him. He had Sammy White, Ahmad Rashad for wide receivers. And then his running backs actually caught a lot.
Yeah.
Chuck Foreman caught 61 passes and Ricky Young caught 88 passes. So his running backs were really prolific that year. So anyway, just kind of cool that he didn't, go out with a whimper. He went out, doing really, really well.
That 78 season, how deep of a run did the Vikings make on the playoffs that year? If you remember.
I don't remember. I know they weren't in the Super Bowl that year, but you know, I do think they make the playoffs, Royce?
I think they did. I think they got bumped up by the Rams that year.
Okay.
But I can look it up real quick. Hold on.
Yeah, because the Cowboys lost to the Steelers in the Super Bowl that year. But I don't know. I don't know where the Vikings ended up.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like perennial teams, in the NFC with the Vikings, the Rams, the Cowboys,
Yeah.
just battling year in and year out for trying to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Um,
oh,
okay, so they finished 8-7-1, first place in the NFC Central.
mhm.
They were in the playoffs in the divisional round. They lost 34-10 to the Rams. Yep.
Okay. Good call, Royce.
Thought so.
How about that? Well,
Yeah.
getting back to you, Aaron, did you have any other like oddball cards or non
No, that was all my
mainstream?
cards from the 70s. I've got a lot of like legends cards of him and stuff like that, but that was all my cards from the 70s of him. But yeah, I mean he's got a lot of cards out there because he played for so long.
Yeah.
How do y'all, but since both of y'all are Fran Tarkenton fans, how do y'all look at how do you think other like collectors look at Fran Tarkenton in the hobby today? Is he held in, do y'all feel like he's held like really high esteem, or is it just, so close yet so far away, pricing, things like that? What do y'all think?
I think he's a little overlooked because of just recency bias, where people are so into Brady, Mahomes, you know, the I think, and it wasn't a passing era back when they played. So they didn't have those 5,000 yard years yet, so I don't think they quite have the same I guess appreciation for them now that I think they should, because he was the best passer of his time. And I guess I would look at him same as I do Johnny Unitas. He was the best passer of his time. So, and going forward, I think even though I'm not a Brady fan, I have to give it to him. He was the best passer of his time. So I kind of group them that way. Who was the best passer of their time? For at the 70s, it was really Fran Tarkenton. So whether people know it or not, that's a different story.
Hmm. Aaron?
Yeah, I think it kind of depends on your age. Guys like us remember him, know he was great, but younger people may not even know, and maybe they'll remember Marino, or maybe they'll remember Warren Moon, or
Montana, yeah.
depends on how old they are. But I've noticed with pricing, like the 70s cards are pretty cheap of his. Like I just got a 78 for $1 in good condition. But if you go back to the 60s card, they start getting more expensive. And I think, his rookie card, I think was a 61. Um, or a 62. So those ones are pretty expensive. And I still haven't got my oldest Tarkenton, I think is a 68. Um, so some of those other ones are pretty expensive and a little bit hard to find in good shape. But I think the Bradshaws and the Staubachs are more, um, held in higher esteem because their rookie years were in the 70s.
And they had Super Bowl wins.
Yeah,
And that's the
true.
thing.
Yeah.
Fran he went to three out of the four Viking Super Bowls, but he didn't
Yep.
win any of them. So, yeah.
So the Super Bowl victories, that's what rewards card collectors and those willing to pay those higher prices. But the consistency throughout the decade, that's overshadowed.
I think
I
so.
think so. Yeah. Like Stabler even would probably be the third most,
Recognizable.
recognized QB in card after Staubach and Bradshaw. And that's because, he won a Super Bowl. And I think it's those big games that stick with people, and the championships. And I feel like it's kind of a bad call because you can be an awesome player and you can't control who's around you. Like, is Dan Marino a bad quarterback because he never won a Super Bowl? No. Is Fran? No. But they don't have that notoriety with the general public.
Yeah.
Do you think folks look at the for the Vikings franchise with the four appearances, zero victories? Do they look at the Bills and the Vikings franchises in similar regard?
Yep.
It's
Kind
not
of,
Yeah.
yeah.
like great quarterback, just no titles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
For
That's why I
sure.
hope Josh gets one. They
I'm pulling
can
for
all
Josh
be
too.
quick.
It'd be cool. I'd love to see the Bills go all the way this year. That'd be amazing.
Well, it's a new season, and
Yeah.
here we are, man. We're recording on a Friday night with Friday Night Lights, and apparently, they're playing down in Brazil. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs just lost.
Sweet.
Hallelujah.
so Chiefs Kingdom's not gonna be happy with you tonight, Aaron.
Oh, sorry, Chiefs Kingdom, but you've had your time. It's
Aaron,
our
you have to
time.
spin it the other way and say our Oregon Ducks QB won the game for the Chargers. That's
There
what
you
you have.
go. There you go.
That's it. Oregon
Yeah.
Ducks fans. How about this as we wrap up? Whenever we're talking about 70s cards, and we're in that age group where we grew up in the 70s. do y'all feel like 70s cards are referred to now as like vintage, or is vintage still like that golden era of like 50s and 60s cards? What do y'all think?
I consider them vintage. And if you look up the technical term, like people can advertise anything over 20 years as vintage. So technically, they're definitely vintage. I don't personally consider 20 years old vintage, but I consider pretty much anything pre 80s as vintage. But that's my personal belief. I don't think there's a hard, fast rule on it.
Yeah, as
But
far as prices go, they're not as expensive as the 60s and the 50s vintage,
yeah,
but they're still 50 years ish old. So I think if you're having a hard time remembering it, it's vintage. If you go to any of the like antique shops around, a lot of their stuff now is from the 80s and 70s. So I think I
Interesting.
think we could consider it vintage.
I know, like on the baseball side, a lot of folks look at 1980 as like that year of demarcation with the proliferation of like three baseball card sets being
All
approved
right.
by MLB with Fleer and Donruss and Topps. Uh,
yeah,
but in the football world, we only had Topps.
yeah.
Yeah.
For a long time. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I find it interesting, trying to find these 70s cards and completing sets. And I mean, you guys are working on several sets yourselves, and just trying to find those old 70s cards it's not always the easiest task.
You're
And
Yeah.
right.
with them, I'm thinking, oh, come on, man, this should be, easy to find, but they aren't.
Yeah. Even at that card show, I found very few. I was hoping for 75s. I probably came away with three that I needed and maybe four or five. I don't know, but it wasn't much. I mean, there wasn't many out there to hunt for. So it's definitely a challenge.
Yeah. I get caught up and I'm like I crossed two guys off my list, but I bought like 100 cards. So uh, I didn't make
You
much
got
progress on my list, but I still got some
Same
cool
here.
cards.
Yeah.
So
It's
uh,
hilarious. Your trading collateral just went way up.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Well,
true.
as I say, as we're wrapping up, man, do y'all have any closing thoughts or anything y'all want to share out before we call it a night?
No,
I
I'm
just
just
think it was
looking
a
forward
really
to.
neat. Oh, go ahead, Royce.
I'm just going to say that I'm looking forward to doing more of these because it's a fun topic and I can talk for a long time. And I know that we kind of went over time a little bit, so we'll try to get better at it. But it's still fun.
Well, definitely,
Uh,
Aaron.
yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. It's fun topics to talk about and just you know, going over. I think it's nice to have it a decade because it's so hard to compare
Yeah.
any position from different eras, especially quarterbacks. Like you can't compare the stats of today's QBs versus the 70s QBs, or even the 70s versus the 60s or 50s. So yeah, I like that decade idea, and I'm looking forward to it. Even doing different positions or whatever. I think it's fun.
Yeah, we'll expand on it. We'll do this, every couple of months or at least once a quarter, and it'll be a blast. I was gonna ask if y'all want to each like plug your own YouTube channels because y'all have them, and we're trying to all three of us grow our shows. So,
Yeah.
Aaron, why don't you start off with you since you are the newest addition to the triplets here.
Yeah, I just started this summer. It's called Pro Football Retro. Um, and just making some card videos and also interviewing some old USFL players because the USFL is kind of our favorite thing. So I've done one interview and that's on there, and then I've got another one coming up on the 12th. So looking forward to that. And it's just fun. I'm not expecting like a million subscribers or anything like that, but it's just fun for me to delve into it and meet some of these old players and talk about football cards.
Excellent.
Well, your interview with Greg Moser, I got a ton out of that because he was talking about Reggie White and uh, Jim Kelly and just tons of players. He even mentioned Mike Nolan, who's the current coach of the Michigan Panthers, because he was a college roommate or college teammate of his. So it was
Yeah.
kind of cool. And just all his knowledge was great. So my channel is called Viking Wax Press, and it's a YouTube channel. I'm also on Facebook and X, so you can find me on any of those channels. And I also am part of the Alternative Football Network, so you can find me on the alternativefootballnetwork.com. And that's basically just a group of content providers who all get together and collaborate when we can, and then kind of help each other boost each other. So that's what that's about.
Well, certainly, I enjoyed the collaboration, men, and look forward to doing more of these. And on that note, we'll call it a night. It's a wrap.
Awesome. Thanks,
Thanks,
Kelly.
Kelly.